President, a new poll shows that if Curtis Sliwa dropped out of the New York mayoral race, then Andrew Cuomo would only trail Mamdani by 4 points. Would you call Curtis Sliwa to drop out of the race so that can happen?
Well, I looked at the polls, and looks like we're going to have a communist as the mayor of New York. It'll be very interesting. But here's the good news. He's got to go through the White House. Everything goes through the White House, at least this White House it does. And we'll have to see what happens. But if he dropped out, he's not going to win. And not looking too good for Cuomo either. But maybe, I don't know, if he dropped out, maybe Cuomo would have a little bit of a chance, but not much. Because it looks like the lead is, it's not a great lead, but it's big enough that he should be able to win. So, I don't know that I want to get involved. It's really a question of, would I rather have a Democrat or a communist? And I would rather have a Democrat than a communist.
Will you meet with Mamdani if he wins?
Yeah, I'll speak to him. I think
President,
I'd have an obligation to speak to him, but I love New York. I've always loved New York. I just can't believe a thing like this is happening. I left New York, and we had a mayor, de Blasio, who was a disaster, but when I left, it was sort of before he could really take hold. And boy, New York was a hot city, and now it's sad to see what's happening, frankly. And with the communists in charge, look, you just go back 1,000 years. I mean, it's been done many times, 1,000 years. It's never worked once, so it's not going to work now either.
On your ballroom, Mr. President, you're building your ballroom right now. They're also building the Obama Presidential Library. I'm wondering if you've seen.
Help.
Have you seen pictures of the architecture, and
Yeah,
what do you think
I
of
did.
it?
It's not too pretty. No, but it's closed. It's stopped. They ran out of money. I mean, he's building a library / museum. You call it some museum, and usually they call it both. They call it library and museum. That's the official name. And they're stuck. And he wanted only women and DEI to build it. Well, that's what they got. And the construction workers are standing out there and saying, we want to be able to build it. You have I built a great building in Chicago, as you know, a big, beautiful building, one of the tallest buildings in the country. And we got it built very quickly, very well. And we used the construction workers of Chicago. They're great workers. They're great construction people. And I suggested he get them involved. But they're hundreds of millions of dollars over budget. And I think it stopped. I'm reading these terrible stories. But that's the way our country was run under President Obama, too. Nobody knew it.
Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. Russia remains China's top crude oil supplier in September. Are you considering tariffs on China?
Well, I mean, you read the same papers as I do, but I don't have to read the papers because I'm the one. Right now, as of November 1st, China will have about 155% tariff put on it. And I don't think it's sustainable for them, so I want to be nice to China. But China's been very rough with us over the years because we had presidents that weren't smart from a business standpoint. Some were good politicians, some weren't even good politicians, but they allowed China to take advantage of us and every other country to take advantage of us. If you see, I made a deal with the European Union. I made a deal with Japan, with South Korea. I made a lot of these deals that are great deals, and I was able to do it. It's really national security. I was able to do it because of tariffs. And we're getting hundreds of billions, even trillions of dollars paid into the United States. We're a very rich country again. We'll start paying off debt. We'll do a lot of things. We'll probably make a distribution out of some of the tariff money. I think we're going to make a distribution over the next fairly short period of time to the people because we took in so much money from the tariffs. Just European Union, $650 billion. Japan, $550 billion. South Korea, $350 billion. That's even a lot of money for you guys, right? That's not bad, right? But no, we're taking in a lot of money, and it keeps people like this here because that's why they're coming in. I mean, you wouldn't be, I mean, I'm not going to speak for you, but generally they won't be coming in if it weren't for tariffs. They come in here and they don't have to pay any tariff. If they do it outside, they pay a lot of money, a lot of tariffs. The money comes to us. And in order not to pay the tariff, they come and they build here. That's why we have more plants under construction than we've ever had in the history of our country. And you wouldn't think it's complicated, but you would have thought somebody would have done this a long time ago, sitting in this beautiful seat behind what's called the Resolute desk. You know that, right? This is a very famous. This is even more famous than any of your desks. But your desks are very good.
Can I just follow up on her question to you? Because the New York Times is reporting that your legal team is seeking $230 million from your own Justice Department now in response to the investigations into you.
It could be.
Is that something you want your legal team to do?
I don't know what the numbers are. I don't even talk to them about it. All I know is that they would owe me a lot of money, but I'm not looking for money. I'd give it to charity or something. I would give it to charity, any money. But look, what they did, they rigged the election. And as you know, we had, in one case, 60 Minutes had to pay us a lot of money. George Slavadopoulos had to pay us a lot of money, and they already paid. You know, they paid me a lot of money because what they did was wrong. And, you know, when somebody does what's wrong. Now, with the country, it's interesting because I'm the one that makes the decision, right? And, you know, that decision would have to go across my desk. And it's awfully strange to make a decision where I'm paying myself. In other words, did you ever have one of those cases where you have to decide how much you're paying yourself in damages? But I was damaged very greatly, and any money that I would get, I would give to charity.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is the Democrat Party now more Zohran Mamdani's party than it is even Leader Schumer's or Leader
Probably
Jeffries?
is, yeah. Look, I mean, maybe he'll run for president in 4 years. You have a communist president. That would be interesting, right? I don't see it happening. You know, I've always said you will never see, and I always talked about socialism, and you will never see a socialist so-and-so. And I was right. I say it in speeches. We will not have socialism in our country. And I was right. Communism, yes, but socialism. In other words, they skipped socialism and they went down to communism. No, he's a communist, and he's going to be maybe the mayor of New York. I don't know. Maybe, you know, polls are wrong, but these polls seem to be pretty consistent. But he would be, I would say he would be the leader of the party. It's not Schumer. Schumer's shot. He's shot. This poor guy, I feel sorry for him. I've known him for a long time, but he's I think he's mentally gone. He's been beat up by young, radical lunatics. And I think Chuck Schumer is, he's gonzo. I really do. I think he's probably not going to run. It shows that he's losing in every poll. Now, this is hard. You know, he wants to meet with me. It's sort of hard to meet with a guy after I make a statement like that, but I'm just giving the facts. I think Chuck is probably finished. I know some people, Democrats, that would be good. Some good politicians and some, you know, reasonable people. But I understand that they would not have a chance of, you know, getting even the concept of holding the torch. They're not going to get it. But they have some people that I really believe they're low IQ people. They're stupid people. And they seem to be leading the party. So we'll see what happens. Look, the Republicans are strong. We have great leadership. We're very strong in every way. And we're going to keep it that way. But we are really a strong party. You know, our party's grown magnificently. We've gotten, look at all the union votes I got. Nobody thought that was ever possible. Look at the election where I won popular. I won everything. I won all 7 swing states. If you win 3 or 4 swing states, you're doing great. I won all 7 by a lot. And I think the best thing when you look at districts, 2,700 versus 525. That's big. That's why the map shows all red. So we won in a tremendous landslide, and that's because people like our policy. I guess they like me, but they like my policies. Strong borders, good education, low taxes. You know, in the great big beautiful bill, we got the biggest tax cut in history. Not only no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, we got the biggest tax cut in the history of our country in the bill that we just approved. And I think people see that and they like it, and that's why we're doing well, but they are not. They do not have leadership. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank you very much.